So you better figure out time differently. And you can bend and manipulate time to your advantage. The most stupid, antiquated, ridiculous concept on planet Earth today very, very well may be that a day is 24 hours. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest thing ever. And if you do this for about 90 of your traditional days that you think are, you will come back to me and go, that profoundly impacted my life.
인생이 짧다는 것을 빨리 깨달을수록 성공하기 쉽다라는 말을 들어보셨나요? 시간 관리의 중요성은 많은 매체를 통해서 접하고 있지만 하루라는 개념 자체를 완전히 새롭게 바꿔버리는 영상이 바로 에드마일렛의 영상입니다. 에드마일렛의 영상을 접하고 나면 하루가 절대 짧지 않음을 느끼게 되었고 바로 지금 무엇을 해야 할지에 대해 정확하고 구체적으로 리스트가 그려집니다. 하루를 3할로 사용하는 것이 처음에는 쉽지 않겠지만 집중력과 체력이 자연스럽게 올라오면서 작업할 때의 밀도가 최소 2배 이상 오른 걸 체감하고 휴식마저도 깊이가 다름을 느끼게 됩니다. 그러면서 시간이 쌓일수록 시간 활용의 효율은 내 삶의 변화를 만들어내게 되겠죠.
And I figured something out. When you find a family or a person that's happy and successful, or either one, somewhere back in their lineage, they weren't. That family wasn't. And then the one shows up. The one. And that one changes that family forever. It changes the way they live, the way the world treats them, the way they think. They're the Neo. They're the one in their family. And in my family, I'm the one. I'm the one. I didn't like it. I didn't hope for it. I fought for it. I fought for it. I did the things in this book to become the one in my family. And if you're listening to this or watching it, why don't you consider the fact that potentially maybe you're the one? And the fact that you don't think you are, or that you're not qualified to be the one, or don't have the background or the skills or the confidence, probably makes you the one, because that was me.
Now, what does the one do? What do they introduce to the family that changes it so profoundly?
I think they introduce a different way of thinking, Tom. I think they introduce a belief system that the world doesn't dictate the terms to our family anymore. We're going to dictate the terms to the world. And that we have some measure of control over the results of our lives. I think most people go through their lives thinking they have no measure of control.
So if the one is bringing this new way of thinking and make somebody's life better, how do they turn that into like something concrete that they can articulate? How do they turn it into a habit? Like what is that process of going from, you know, Neo waking up and realizing that he can do something to actually dodging bullets?
I think one of the things is the way that we approach time. This is something that almost no one talks about anymore. So I feel like you may be behind. In fact, I think most people watching this, listening, will say, I am behind on achieving my destiny. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I feel like it's slipping. I feel like I'm behind. So you better figure out time differently. And you can bend and manipulate time to your advantage. The most stupid, antiquated, ridiculous concept on planet Earth today very, very well may be that a day is 24 hours. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest thing ever. 24-hour days were contrived when there were no cars. There was no electricity. If I wanted to get you a message, I had to write something down if I could, send it on a horseback, hope you get it. That's insane. Never mind the internet. So what used to take hours, days, weeks, months, years to do can be done now in a millisecond in the internet or on our smartphones. Yet we measure the time the same way that guy did? That's bananas. That is so stupid. Yet everybody does it. And so I, about 25 years ago, went, I'm not the most talented. I'm not the smartest. And I'm really not. And you've had guests on your show with IQs maybe 100 points higher than mine. This is the truth. I know a couple of them. I had them on my show. How in the world? I don't come from, you know, a whole track record of success, right? I don't have the perfect upbringing. How in the world am I going to win? And I got to fix the way I look at time. What would I need to believe about time? What would I need to believe? What would the question be? And so my days now are from 6 a.m. to noon. That's a day. It's 6 hours. And in that day, some days you just chill. But in that day, I'm going to get the amount of productivity, faith, working out, fitness, money, business, you name it, in that day. We've all had a morning where we go, I got more done this morning than I have in weeks. Well, why can't you do that every morning? So I measure time. I've compressed and condensed time. I've bent it. My day is 6 a.m. to noon, and I'm not crazy. You're crazy for thinking it takes 24 hours, just like some dude in a cave did 300 years ago. That's bananas that you still think that way, and it's unfair that people have taught you this. My second day starts at noon and goes till 6 p.m. That's day 2. But what the cool thing is, at the end of day 1, this clock goes off about noon every day, bro, and goes, what did I just get done? What didn't I do? What do I need to be accountable for? What do I need to double my efforts? Just like you do at the end of most days. right? And then the next day is 6 p.m. to midnight. And some of those are just fun days. Sundays I chill, right? But some days they're really super productive. What I've done now is I have changed and manipulated time. I now get 21 days a week. Stack that up over a month, I'm gonna kick your butt. Stack it up over a year, you're toast. Stack it up over 5 years, my entire life is different than it would have been otherwise. And if you do this for about 90 of your traditional days that you think are, you will come back to me and go, that profoundly impacted my life. And here's the other thing that happens. The world responds to you differently when you value your time like that. What is precious is valuable. That's why a diamond or this watch is way more expensive than the piece of paper that's written down there, because it's more scarce. When your time, when you interact with the world, is slightly more scarce, they respond to you as if you're more valuable. So you get more accountability, more productivity, more fun, more joy, and the world flips its response to you. All of a sudden you become more valuable and precious to people when your time is different. And you'll get thousands more days in your life and live a much more blissful and happy life than the person who only gets 24 hours. Well, one really simple thing is this. You need to get in a bigger hurry. If I could just distill it down to something simple, you need to get in a bigger hurry. You're too casual. You're too slow. You walk too slow. You talk too slow. You think in terms of too much time. And if you would just speed up the pace, man, anyone that kind of vibrates at a frequency that feels like success energy, it's faster. And I wonder, see, if you want to know the power of one more, it's when I take it from you and you can't have it anymore. I wonder if someone would have whispered, Kobe, when he got in the car that day, 6 more days. How would that week maybe have been different for him? What would he have said? Who would he have loved? Who would he have reached out to? What would have mattered to him? How about the Saturday before? Kobe, 1 more day. When he's getting on that helicopter, Kobe, 1 more hour. See, it hits us when I say that. And there's a whisper happening that you can't hear. Napoleon Hill says, begin with the end in mind. What if you did that with your life? What if you began with the end of your life in mind and worked it backwards? If you started to think about, see, when we begin to distill downs and we realize, yeah, there's a power to 1 more because they're not promised how many we have. And there's a power and there's a blessing that you get 1 more in your life. Those listeners have another day to change their life. They have another opportunity to do 1 more. They have another opportunity to make their family proud of them. They still have more time. They don't just have 1 more day probably to be the one in their family. Life is beautiful. It's precious. And so I would just ask everybody to consider that.
이 세상의 모든 사람들은 같은 시간을 가졌지만 다른 마음가짐으로 살아갑니다. 그리고 시간을 보는 마음가짐으로부터 인생의 차이가 시작됩니다. 구시대에 만들어진 시간 개념을 현 시대에 맞춰 고쳐서 지금부터라도 우리의 시간을 더 타이트하게 관리해 봅시다. 당신은 우주의 유일한 사람입니다.